We only have two people in here. All right, I'll be. I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go check on Chloe and then tell my mom to watch her. All right. I already know she's gonna walk in here like 5 times. Yeah. Oh, there we are. I was like, where the hell are we? Oh wait, I forgot the chat. The chat will be in here, won't it? Oh yeah, it will be. All right. So I don't need to have the chat all huge. Ooh. All right. It's because this is primarily for gaming. They can't hear you.
All right, is this better? Whoa, that's too loud. Whoa. All right. Now we're good. Right?
They can't hear anything. Oh, we're good.
Good. Can you hear Kevin? Can you hear him talk too? You hear two different voices, right? Yes.
There we go.
All right. Good. All right. So we chose to run it off of Twitch and everything else because the simple fact of I keep getting kicked off of Twitch because you guys have been in our lives and you see how it works.
No, you
People
keep
start
getting
freaking
kicked
out.
off of TikTok.
Or yeah, TikTok, not Twitch. Sorry. This is Retro Geeks. Nice. But that's why we chose this platform, so that we don't lose our content, because we can create content every day, all day, but all they do is just censor it, delete it, and now it's all useless, and we just wasted a bunch of people's time, yours and ours. So that's why we're doing it on here. And believe it or not, YouTube's just as guilty for doing the same type of stuff. But we have it on there just to see and start creating content on there, to see if we can get past their loopholes. But how many people's in here?
We'll be fine. We'll be fine in on Twitch.
Yeah, we'll be completely fine on Twitch.
Twitch, we could sit here talk about, guns. You could talk about just about anything that has to do with prepping, and they're not gonna suppress us or they're not gonna ban us.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that the censorship is as real as it is, unfortunately. But so we're gonna start off today, right? Weird buffering for you.
Yeah, mine did too. Mine was buffering a little bit too.
Yours is buffering. Mine doesn't show buffering. Gotta love technology. Well, hopefully it smooths out, and we got the technical issues fixed. But if not, then my bad, guys. This portion of this whole deal is a learning curve. I am not computer tech savvy. But let's go into why to prep for one. People need to decide why they're prepping, and where they're prepping. That's the number one. We're having a G1 solar storm right now.
Yeah, your mic keeps getting lower too, right?
That's what I'm saying, bro. This did it last night. That's why I stopped with this last night. Is it getting lower and lower still? Let me see here. Let me get up here. What about now?
Now that's better. That's better.
Is it better or is it good? Because it's showing deep in the red on me.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. So, so storms, like what? You just think infrastructure is going to collapse due to the poor quality of infrastructure that we have? I wish I knew who was all in here. I don't know why I can't see everyone that's in here.
I actually see everybody that's in here. Hold on. So far we have 2 people. We have more than that, I think. Hold on, let me pull this up over here. So we have
working for me. Jeez, no.
Anna Hoffa.
Anna's on.
Giggles to Censored, Who's Your Daddy, and the Doomed Space Marine. So there's 4.
Huh.
One.
And it only shows one on my.
Chloe, I'm on. Go on. I'm working, so you gotta go.
All right, so to get going on this, right, is
Can't go on there.
one of the first rules, or we're just going to call it the first 5 rules of prepping, right, is deciding why you're prepping and deciding where you're going to prep at. Are you choosing to stay at your house, or are you choosing to hit the road, bug out, right? If we get a big enough solar storm, it will knock the power out across. Yeah, I mean, it's that's very possible with solar flares. It's already happened once in the United States, or well, in the world, I should say, but it affected us greatly with our transmissions for radios and everything else back in the day. And that was way less technical, right? And it already happened, and it's already proven that it's going to happen again. Yep, the Carrington event. Correct. So that's going to be the number one prepping reasons is solar flares, stuff of that nature. Like that will cause an EMP. That's more likely than let's say China launching an EMP attack on us, even though you can go into conspiracies, and day by day it's getting more and more realistic that China will actually do something like that to us. So that's a main reason, right? The other main reasons is you see what's going on TikTok, the amount of division. The division that we get on TikTok, I mean, we have nothing about, no politics or nothing listed in any of it, right? And the first thing that people do is pop on and they start wanting to fight about politics and COVID vaccinations and the whole 9 yards. That division right there is the reason why you should prep. Number one reason.
The culture, what the United States has become, and who knows what it's going to drive to.
It's sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. But I mean, that's just, it's the reality, right, that we live in right now. It's, I hate to say it, but our government wants us divided, and the people are willing to do it. And neither side is willing to budge.
See, I hope it's not. Doomed. So the whole deal with that, right, is I don't know if you've ever been to war, seen war, any of that nature, but you're going to find the majority of people who have been to war or have witnessed war or lived through war, they are not, geez, shut down app, still buffering. I wonder if you're just in a bad cell service area or what.
Yeah, if you're not on it.
Yeah, Anna, I remember you saying you have been prepping. I mean, your family's been prepping for a long time. But people who've been to war don't wish war on anybody, right? Like, I don't. Do I think the war is going to be challenging? Anything of that nature? If a civil war ever did pop off, I don't know, because it's so loaded on one side, right? But also, I'm a part of that side that's loaded, and anyone who ever tries to stand and make a stand for this type of civil war idea that people fantasize about, they're made into domestic terrorists. They're not allowed to stand up against their government because the government will literally turn them into a domestic terrorist overnight with the media. And then they're crazy, and they're the whole, they will literally cancel culture the hell out of those guys.
Yeah, I think if it ever gets to that point, it's going to be brought upon because there's going to be a breaking point, right? Because there's going to be a breaking point in society if it keeps going the way it is. And if you look back in history, it was the same thing. Free people will allow a specific amount of tyranny to happen before the masses will step up. And then when that happens, since we're already divided, you would hope that it didn't get to the worst, wouldn't get as bad as what it could get to. But if it did, that's what's going to be the tipping point. The tipping point is going to be when it gets to that point where people are starting to realize, all right, this is enough. And then it won't be an individual. So you won't be able the government or whoever won't be able to single out that one individual and tear them down to the point where they don't exist. There's going to be that breaking point. And then once that breaking point happens, it can go either way. It could be, civil doom, or it could be us coming together as a nation and fixing it.
Now
I don't see happening.
Yeah, I've been boots on the ground at two what people would call breaking events, right? Where numerous American patriots got together and took stance against the federal government, right? One of them was in Nevada at the Bundy Ranch. The feds, BLM, different BLM, Bureau of Land Management, not Black Lives Matters. They showed up, started trying to do land grabs and cattle grabs and stuff of that nature, and literally sink farmers and ranchers into the pits of no turning back. They're trying to bankrupt them. They're trying to steal all their property, stuff like that. So we took a stand, right? And it was a legitimate stand. Guns were drawn, loudspeakers were going. It was everyone was walking on eggshells and holding on to leg hairs. That's how tight the tension was. And it was just going to take one mistake, or someone freaking out, or someone not having trigger discipline. Kind of how Waco did, right? Waco popped off. Now, granted, that's a cult deal, but Waco popped off because of a mistake. The whole event went down because of a mistake, because someone got freaked out. They pulled the trigger because they jolted because of a dog bark, and that started the whole Waco massacre, right? And it all started off of miscommunication and stuff by the feds.
It all started off because of the overreach of the United States government.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying though
ATF didn't even have they didn't even have the authority to be doing what they were doing. They had broken so many laws. It was just
a young gun trying to create a name.
Yep,
right?
Bad news.
That was all it was.
But a whole lot of government, they think it's the people.
That's what they're led to believe.
Yeah, your statement right there is exactly what the government wants to be going on, right? The people, they want the government. They don't want people looking at the government. They want people looking at each other. That's why we have such a huge divide is what we have now. I mean, the government and media, especially, fake news, if you want to call it that, social media, it's caused a divide. And that divide is because of what the powers that be want it to be that way. That way, so they can get certain people elected, they can pass certain laws. I mean, it's
all lobbyist stuff. It all boils down to lobbyists.
I mean, that's probably the biggest reason for me to be prepping at the level that I am now. When I first started, I didn't really consider myself to be a prepper. I was just a sensible person and knew that if anything, when I first started prepping, it was just for, what if the power goes out? Am I going to be okay for a couple days? Or what if, since where I live, if there's a huge snowstorm and I'm hunkered down, would I be okay for a week? So I always prepped myself to be able to have supplies for at least 2 weeks. And then it went from 2 weeks to a year. Then it went from a year to 2 years. Then, I started having children. So then in a spouse. And then it was like, okay, I got to prep for 3 people for 2 years. And then I started looking into sensible ways to prep. And then I started using my own knowledge, and that's where I'm at today. Right. So, but within the last year, 2 years almost, it's gotten more out of hand as far as like prepping, because I don't know about you guys, but when I walked into a store and I couldn't buy a box of ammo, or I could, but that box of ammo was three times the price, then I was like, oh, that's scary. Right. And I think that's a majority of Americans. where that's, I can't, I mean, if you don't stockpile ammo, think of it on the toilet paper, side of things. I mean, it was a silly thing that was happening, but when you walked into the store and you couldn't get it, it became real. You know what I mean? It was like, crap. How do I, so that's why that's why you want to be prepped for if anything like that does happen. And I am getting very down into the basics here, but that's why you want to be, I won't even use the word prep. You want to be prepared, right? Because that's exactly what you're doing is you're being prepared for something that may be the worst. And just look at what happened last year. I mean, last year was eye-opening to a lot of people, right? A lot of people didn't even know what the hell prepping was. And then if you go online on YouTube or something and you search preppers, there's hundreds of channels making content on it because that's what people are concerned about at that given point.
And unfortunately, preppers got an image cast amongst them based off the popular like TV shows of preppers or doomsday preppers, stuff of that nature. And it shies people away because they're like, oh, wait, hold on. This is what prepping is all about. These guys are just crazy dudes in the woods, or this family believes, they're like a cult or whatever. And they're willing to recreate with themselves to think that, they're solely going to be responsible for human species, right? They think they're going to be responsible for the human species themselves. So people see those type of episodes on TV and they literally get turned off by prepping because they're like, well, I don't want to be a part of this crazy cult society. And that part of the society is very small and minimal. And we're not even talking about that type of society on here. What we're talking about is how do you prep yourself and
sensible prepping.
Yeah. And keep it a secret, right?
Yeah.
The best rule for preppers should be keeping it a secret. You don't want to tell everyone that that you're prepping. Why? Because if no one else did prep and they sat there and laughed at you the entire time while you prepped, you're the first place they're going to visit when there is nothing left. They're going to come to you, right? And that's not going to work. That's literally, you're going to watch people make bad decisions. Your best friend is going to come and be willing to kill you over food. Your neighbors that you shared barbecues with, the people you went to nightclubs with, all this stuff will try to be stripped from you. So one of the first rules, I guess, is really be secretive about it. Don't be this outspoken individual, right? Aid people in doing it. That's why, like, when you come in here, make up fake names, the whole 9 yards when you make your profiles for this. So then people don't know who you are, right? You can invite 30 of your friends, and they're not going to know that this person is the doomed space marine, or that this person's Anna, or that this person's Jeff or Rebecca, right? But learn as a community, but stay secretive enough to where you still stay safe in a time where people are going to make bad decisions. When stuff goes bad, they will be one of your first stop, or like you will be their first stop, is what I guess I'm trying to say. These people will get literally just as desperate as druggies, completely strung out on drugs, making poor decisions to get that next bump. Well, yep. People are going to do the same thing with food and water and supplies.
Yep. And I know it sounds weird coming from two guys that are on the internet talking about prepping, right? But, what we're saying is your neighbor, right? You don't really want your neighbor to know that you have a stockpile of food at your house, right? Because if we're being honest, if something was to happen and you did have to shelter in place in your home with a neighbor right next door to you, you're going to be okay for the first week, right? You're going to be okay. You're probably still talking.
God, I'd even say a month. I'd say a month. You're going to be fine.
I would say you'd be about a month, because once people start, once they start eating the food that's in the refrigerator, if you still have power, even if infrastructure went out completely, if there was an EMP, you're still going to have enough food in your fridge to feed yourself for at least 2 weeks, right? Stuff is going to start to go bad, but you're gonna raid your pantry. You're gonna get enough food to sustain yourself. What's going to happen is once that food is gone, then you're going to have a few days of these people. That's when they're going to start getting hungry, right? As Americans, we don't know what hunger is, and I hate. I mean, I'm not putting down people who are homeless that are hungry. I'm saying the vast majority of Americans do not know what hunger is. If you've been overseas and you've been to certain type of countries, you'll see what hunger really is, right? And once that starts to kick in, that's when desperation comes. And when desperation comes, it doesn't matter if you were borrowed a cup of sugar from them a week ago. That goes right out the window because not only they need to feed themselves, they need to feed their kids, and their kids are hungry. So that desperation is when you're going to start getting the home invasions, and then you're going to start getting the groups of people getting together. And this isn't even including the criminal element that's going to come that's just going to
That's not even the
thrive
looters.
because because you got to remember, if infrastructure goes down, when I say infrastructure, I mean infrastructure. I mean there is no anything like the creature comforts that we call it. There is none of that. There is no mayor, there is no police force, there is no army coming, there is no 911. Infrastructure's down. You don't have power, you don't have water. That's worst case scenario, right? And when that happens, you're going to have there's so many different aspects that are going to happen that it's even hard to talk about it on a 2 hour long podcast. I mean, we could break this down into like sections, right? But we're just talking about your neighbor and why you want to keep what you have a secret.
Well, everyone's
Because
going to be having their own. The easiest way to break it down, I would say, is everyone's going to be enacting or enlisting their own laws, their own martial law per se, right? Everyone's going to be abiding by their own laws for their own security and their own. Well, your best friend that you sit here and think that is your best friend, well, they were until shit got real, right? The second shit gets real, things change. Kevin and I were having this conversation, obviously off the podcast and stuff, but I was like, hey, look, Kevin, him and we're best friends, ride or die, the whole 9 yards, right? We know what we prep, how we prep, the whole 9 yards. But the bottom line is if here I am prepping all by myself and on my own, right? And Kevin's prepping, and next thing you know, his daughter's hungry and they ran out of food, and he comes to me and I'm going, man, I'm almost out of food too. I need to watch my own ass. Now he's going to be offended because we are browser but can't chat. What? I can watch in browser but can't chat, so have a blessed night and day. I don't know. You just chatted though. I don't know. Hopefully it'll smooth out for you, giggles. But long story short, if he's down the road from me and he knows that I'm a prepper and everything else, but I can't do anything for him, he's going to take offense to that because they're now starving. His daughter's starving. His dogs are hungry, the whole 9 yards, right? So he's already going to be on edge. And at that point in time, he's not going to be thinking as clearly as he was when we had this phone conversation before shit hit the fan. Now he's just going to be angry and upset that I'm not here to help him because I didn't prep for him. I only prepped for myself. Well, what's that going to cause? Now I'm going to sit here. Kevin's going to be mad. He's going to raise his voice. He's going to get hostile. And now I have to look at my best friend as a threat, and he's looking at me as a threat because I'm not helping to feed his family because we're just down to bare bones and nothing. Well, that's how shit goes wrong. That's how you have to understand and prep your mind to where you have to be able to shoot anyone who comes through the door or comes at you and tries to take away what you've earned and prepped for, even if it's your family member or your best friend. That's true survival.
That's the hard reality of it, and that's the one thing that most people won't be able to get past, right? Is that they won't be able to do that. I mean, that's not something that a vast majority of society is going to be able to do. Now, granted, everybody's going to be hungry, so it's mass hysteria. That's what all the stories and all the movies that you see is kind of a small representation of what could happen. But take all that you see and multiply that by 10, right? Because this, and remember, guys, we're talking about is the most extreme thing that could happen.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right. That's extreme.
It's not. You got to remember, keep that in mind. We're not just talking about prepping for, in general. We're talking right now on the extreme side of it. Like if it does get to that point where it's civil unrest and it's all these things that we're talking about, that's the part that you also have to set yourself up for that too, and you got to get into that mindset, which is hard for a vast majority of people to do. That's why if it did get to that level, I don't want to say things are going to even itself out. It's just it'll get to the point where there'll be really bad stuff happening after a month. And then after that, it's going to be survival. After that, that's when you're actually surviving, right?
Yeah, that's after the prepped. You prep to get to the survival.
Yep, you're prepping to get to that point, right? You're prepping to get to the point where you're past the worst part. It will be the worst part. You're past the worst part of it. I'm not going to say you're out of the woods, but now you're using all the training and you're using all the supplies that you set up and how you've set up your prep. You're using that at that point. It's getting to that point, which will be the hard part, right? Because once you get into the prepper's mindset, you and your family will be okay for as long as your prep will sustain, right? I mean, you because along with prepping, there's all kinds of aspects to it, right? You want to teach yourself how to, like, not how to hunt, because anybody can go out and shoot a squirrel. Do you know how to clean that squirrel? Do you know how to field dress that squirrel? Do you know
how to identify that it's not going to kill you when you eat it, right? Next thing you know, you're going to end up with the bubonic plague.
Yeah,
because you ate a squirrel.
You ate something that you weren't supposed to eat, or
you're running around with rabies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's just that's going to bring it into like another rule, right? So you prep. Let's just say you got the average prepper is going to have a year of food on them, right? Year of food and water. We'll just say that's the national average for preppers. You have to replenish that, even though, so you just don't take that and use it until it's gone and then go, okay, now what? Right? That's the wrong way to do it. And a lot of people do prepping with that mentality. That's why they literally look like hoarders inside their houses. Yeah. They literally, you'll see a prepper and be like, oh my God, you open up the shower, you open up, I don't know if you guys can hear my dogs chewing on a bone back here, but sorry if you do, or an antler. But they literally make a reserve so big that they're at the point of where it's hoarding. You have to literally move stuff to go to the bathroom or take a shower. Or I've seen people to where they've literally like made 55-gallon drums, filled them up full, and that's what they put their bed frames and stuff on. So they're storing all this water in these 55-gallon drums and all this stuff, right? That's a paranoia prepping. And if you do that, sure, that's fine. But there's other ways that's more efficient, more cost-effective to do it. And it's all education. It's all knowledge base.
And you don't want to cross yourself over from sensible prepper to Gucci prepper, like I like to call it, where you have all the bells and whistles, name brand this and that, and it looks pretty. It's all nice and stacked in your mom's basement, and you're ready to go, right? That to me is Gucci prepping. Granted, it's probably gonna be perfect for you.
I mean, some people can afford it, right?
Yeah, some people can afford it, or some people are just naive enough to go out and spend that type of money on that type of prepping situation. Nothing wrong with it. You're prepped. You got stuff, right? But if you go and you're looking for information about prepping and you see somebody that's standing there with full kit on and he's talking about like all this and that, and he sounds real technical, he probably doesn't really know what he's doing.
No, he's read brochures.
Yeah, he
Instruction
but
manuals.
he looks good doing it. He looks good doing it. I mean, you don't if you want to if you want to learn something, you got to determine whether the person's a sensible prepper. Like it's not like, the Gucci stuff looks cool, but it's not sensible. I mean, I'm not going to go out and spend, $150 for 72 hours worth of food. Really?
Right.
I mean, that's just unsensible.
Yeah, I mean that's that black bucket right back behind me over here. Whoop, right there. That bucket's literally like $180, right? From Ready Hour. Bella, hey, can you break your jaw in another room, homie?
You could probably learn the skills to make that bucket for under
$12.
$12.
Not even joking.
Right?
It will take you guys. We're going to do episodes in here. I'm going to do it right here on this table with freeze-dried foods, teach you how to freeze-dry some foods, and you will literally be able to build that $175 bucket for $12. Not even joking.
No. And a lot of people don't realize, I mean, if you're just trying to put stuff on your shelves, right, and you're trying to do it on the dime, dollar store, Dollar General, they sell tons of canned foods there. You can go in there and 10 cans of Spam for $1.
What?
I don't know.
I've never seen that.
I'm just saying.
I'll drive right down there and make some fried Spam sandwiches right now if that's the case. I'm not even playing.
I'm just saying you can get stuff from there. I mean, you can get stuff from your local grocery. You get stuff from Walmart. You don't need to be out there buying, a list that somebody's put together that they're recommending and then go buy it from my website, right? That's not going to work. That's I mean, yeah, you could do it, but you're just going to be wasting money rather than sensible prepping. Because I mean, that's what me and Ryan are doing. Everything we're going to teach you guys or anything that we're going to go over is going to be all sensible prepping, right? In future episodes. Right now, this episode is pretty much just a introduction to prepping, right?
Introduction to prepping, get people thinking before our next episode. And we're going to do multiple episodes a week, so don't think this is going to be a long, drawn-out process, right? Go through the trenches. The reason why we're not jumping into all this other stuff right now is because we want people, regardless if you've already passed this point or not, you might get bored, you might already know it. We have a fair amount of people in here, and there's only like 1 or 2 people commenting, so I don't know if they're bored or if they're just straight out listening, right? But we'll probably sound repetitive with some things, or, I've already done that, and just use it as a checklist. Oh yeah, I already did that. I know I know the climate. I know the areas that I'm going to be in if I need to retreat. I know if I'm going to stay at home and hunker down or bunker down, prep, or if I need to just I'm stuck in the middle of urban area, and I need to retreat and get out of there.
Yep.
All these are decisions you need to do.
And a 10 for 10 is a very good way to go. It's a very good way to go.
And chances are, if it's 10 for 10, there's plenty of preservatives in there to sit there for 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom line.
Exactly. And remember, what's on the expiration date on a canned good
just best
is
used.
what they're required to put on there by the FDA, right? They have to put that on there. Like, everybody knows that a can of Spam will literally last. I don't know. There's still people eating Spam from in Hawaii from World War II. So I mean, granted, you may not want to eat it after that long, but you can. I mean, it's gonna last that long, but it'll have a 2-year expiration on it.
And that's just required. And it's not. I don't even think it's an expiration. I think they changed the word expire. Or that term is sell by or use by.
Yep, sell by or use by.
And that's just to keep. What's up, who's your daddy? That's just to keep the logistics of business and our capitalism cycling, right? That's really what that's for. Like like when we go into it with eggs and stuff like that, a lot of people, they're like, eggs don't have a big shelf life or anything like that. Well, it's a lie. And it's a lie that we've all been taught, because if everyone would just go and buy a carton of 36 eggs at Sam's for $6, right, or whatever it is for those big old boxes of eggs, and took mineral oil and just covered all those eggs in mineral oil, those things, you can literally put them away and they will last for 9 months to a year, no problem, right? A lot of people don't know that. So what do? They use it and they're like, oh, well, man, I need to use all these eggs up, or I need to do this, or those eggs are going to go bad, well, the only reason why those eggs are going bad is because of oxygen. Take that away, they're shelf stable for way longer than what they are, right? So a lot of those little tips and tricks, those are all going to be taught down the road, but we just need people to focus and go, okay, so write down on a piece of paper, this is going to be, I'm choosing to stay in, and if and when I get exposed to looters or anything like that, or transients, this is where I'm going to go. You need both of those plans set in stone. Don't think you're going to sit down there and literally fight off tens of thousands of people coming from Dallas, Texas, right? When they start leaving because they have expended every resource that's in that area, they are going to fan out, and they're going to fan out in groups of thousands, not just one or two. Sure, there's going to be lone wolves, but you're not going to be able to combat 1,000 people coming into your house and stuff. They're going to do it no different than they do when you watch people loot in the stores. That will happen to your house. So when that time comes, that is a red flag of going, okay, plan B. And you better have a plan B. And plan B, either you're going to fight till you're dead, right? If that's your choice, that's your choice. That's not really survival.
Doomed. I don't eat eggs, so I don't know anything about vacuum sealing eggs, but I'm sure you could.
He hates eggs. And I mean, when survival comes down to it, if he ever comes to me because he ran out of stuff, the first thing I'm giving him is eggs. He's going to have to eat eggs regardless if he likes them or not.
Eggs if I absolutely had to. I mean, obviously I would eat just about anything if I was hungry enough, but I don't know much about vacuum sealing eggs. Like I vacuum seal a lot of stuff, but I've never done eggs before. So.
Yeah, he's going to be eating a whole bunch of eggs if he's coming over to my house.
That would be impossible.
What? Come to my house?
If I didn't have a way to travel, to drive, there's no way I'd be able to go.
I mean, why would you not have a way to travel? You got Chevrolets, bro.
No, God, could you imagine walking that far?
Fucking 2 weeks.
People don't realize that.
2 weeks. It'll take you 2 weeks.
That's if I had. No, okay. There's a whole discussion about distance people can walk too that you can have. I mean, you are not going to walk, especially if shit happened tomorrow. And I would be able to walk without dying 10 miles, right?
What?
And that's
damn, bro, you ain't that bad, bro.
No, I'm just saying, but remember, right? If that was it, that was if I was able to eat when I needed to eat, and that would be if I was able to drink when I needed to drink. When you're rationing, you're not walking that far.
Forrest Gump did it, bro.
I know personally I could walk a lot further than 10 miles in a day. I know I could. Would I want to?
10 miles.
In that type of situation? Probably not.
11-minute miles when you walk. You can walk 1 mile in 11 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, right? There's a lot that goes into it. If I'm walking with just with my rucksack on my back, and it has enough supplies to last me from when I leave to when I get there. Right, I'm not going to walk. There's a whole lot that goes into it, but yeah.
Well, speaking of that, how much do you think your rucksack should weigh for your body weight? I'm a firm believer at 20 to 25%.
Yeah, 25%.
Your body weight.
25% normally, unless you're a really heavy person, then you dial it down a little bit.
What are you talking about? Dude, I'm going to throw 80 pounds on the back of this silverback gorilla, bro.
No, well, I'm just saying, if I weighed 500 pounds, 25% of that, I could have a rucksack on my back that weighs over 100 pounds. Is he actually going to sensibly do that? No. I'm just saying is
Well, I mean, if he's only going to walk 10 miles, probably.
Yeah, I'm just saying, me personally, this is my personal look on it, right? I'm
Yeah,
not
no, I
saying
know.
that anybody could, I'm not saying that anybody could carry whatever they wanted to carry, and walk as far as they wanted to walk, right? I'm just saying what I would do within a reasonable, duty on my body, right? I've walked, I've had an 80-pound rucksack carrying, full kit, and a saw a couple times, and I walked, 12 miles, and at the end of the 12 miles, I could have went another 12, but it was rough on your body. Stuff started hurting that you didn't know could hurt.
I mean, one thing I will, from experience, and Kevin can vouch for this. One thing most people overlook when they prep for bug out is socks. All right, socks. Bring socks with you. I'm not talking one pair. I'm talking 3 or 4 pairs. If you plan on hiking and getting going and moving out of the way, I promise you, you will end up dead quicker than anything with an infection or anything like that if you're not running dry socks.
Yeah. Now we're getting down into specifics here, but I mean, yeah, that's a very important thing. I mean, anybody who's been in a situation where they needed to, I want to say stay dry, but in a situation where you're going to put a lot of tear on your body, the one thing that you have to make sure is 100% are your feet.
Right. Yeah, take care of your feet. I mean, that needs to be a part of your prepping plan.
Yep.
Take care of your feet.
More people have failed out of very, very strenuous training by their feet giving out. Whether I'm talking Navy SEALs,
skin falling off,
Army RASP, all of them.
I mean, if you think it hurts putting a pair of boots on with a hangnail on, you have no clue when your skin starts separating from the meat of your feet. You don't understand pain in your feet until that happens. Yes, I learned the hard way, right? My feet are still jacked up because of this thing. I can literally take, foot rot. I can literally just take chunks of skin off of my feet because it's never going to grow back properly. Why? I thought I was young, dumb, and cool. And I was young, river jumping, hopping through rivers, going trekking across the land, hopping through rivers. Next thing you know, I went down and I pulled my shoes off, and I was like, man, my feet hurt or whatever. That wasn't that bad, but it hurt. I pulled my shoes off to dry them at the campfire. The skin came off with the boot.
Yeah, right. Front foot.
It is insanely painful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how tough you are.
Keep your feet dry.
Yeah. I don't care how tough you are. Infection is going to kill you quicker than probably a bullet will in a prepper scenario, right? Like, the dumb stuff is going to take out the strong people because the strong people weren't being smart. So make that as a part of your prepping plan, right? I want you guys, like, literally to do your homework on your prepping plan, right? And if you already have it, just bring the plan out to our second episode and just say, hey, this is kind of, you don't need to get down into specifics or whatever. But this is what I have. This is what I'm going to do. This is my plan. When that doesn't happen, right? Always have a plan B and have a plan C. And do that homework first. That's the most important. So then you know where to go from there, because without that sturdy foundation, you're literally just going to turn into one of those like Gucci preppers that now you're just buying everything because someone told you to buy it and it looks cool, right? Like Canadian Prepper. Canadian Prepper's a cool dude, but he's a gear junkie, right? So he personally knows how to use 99% of everything that he projects out to his community. But nobody else is going to know how to use half of that stuff. They're literally just going to buy it. He's going to get paid for it on an affiliate link. And he's like, hell yeah, I sold 167 compasses just off this one live. and not a damn person knows how to use them compasses. Or ham radio, right? That's a whole different deal. But I can put links down in the bios of all these ham radios and all this stuff that I can get paid money off of for you guys to buy. But you're not going to know how to. Why you don't know how to use that stuff is because you never actually had a solid plan in how you're going to prep in the first place.
When you just real quick, because it's right here. For me, is when you mention a ham radio, that's the one you got to get right there with that antenna. That's the one you should get.
What do you pick your nose with that antenna, bro? What are you gonna do with that thing? Do you dance with it like an elephant?
Nah, bro, that's got a crazy range right there.
But I mean, so to prevent being a gear junkie to where you have no idea how to use the gear you all bought, right? Unless if you're going to be that prepper where you just jump in, feet first, not even thinking about it. Baofeng's going to be your best, cheapest brand out there is Baofeng radio.
It's a Baofeng, however you want to say it. I say Baofeng, but you could buy those on Amazon for cheap, $30. Comes with everything you need.
Are they that cheap now? I figured they were going to be around $100. Nah, $25 with an extended whip.
They're pretty cheap. I got mine for I got mine a while back. That's the UV5R. You could buy those for $30, and then make sure everybody in your family has, all the adults have one, and then your friends have them too. And like I said, we're gonna go over this stuff in a future podcast, and we'll have links to all this stuff too. I mean, there'll be our Amazon affiliate links, but that's just so we get a little bit of kickback. So I mean, it helps support the channel. It's a small kickback, but we'll have links to all the stuff that we recommend, and
it's all going to be stuff that's proven and tested on the podcast, right? It's not just going to be here you go. Like, so I'm going to say this flat. What is his name? Prepper Zone or whatever. I'm going to use him as an example, right? I love the guy because he's funny, right? I take about 1/16 of what he says and turn it into something value. But he's one of those people that are just, his bunker's so packed full, he can't even walk. He can't, and what he plans on doing is hiding from the world and the universe, until someone comes and saves him. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any real plans outside of that. And, unfortunately, that's how bad information gets spread is stuff like that. Because for a reason, now you got to understand, why are you prepping? Are you gonna help rebuild the world, the economy, you know what I mean? Like, what's your plan after that? The reason why I'm prepping is because I want to help rebuild. I want to help save and preserve, right? I know people, even in my family, that are literally like, why would you even want to live through any of that stuff? I'd just rather die, right? And it's like, that's kind of where our human nature and how our society is going, is it's just easier to die, right? And to me, that's insane. That's just like, where's your drive and your will and your, if you're just ready to roll over and be dead. And one of them's got an 11-year-old child. And I was like, well, what are you going to do with your child? Oh, well, she'll just die right next to us. Like, what? What if she's the cure for cancer? Or what if she's, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of what ifs, and you're just willing to sell her short and she's your daughter? I mean, to me, that's just crazy.
Nah, you gotta, even if there was, I mean, even if you look at it this way, there's no such thing as like a human racing event, right? I mean, unless granted the moon falls into the planet or something like that, where a meteor hits the earth and destroys the earth and the earth is destroyed. Even if there was nuclear holocaust, like they used to call it in the 80s, right? There's still going to be a small percentage of human life that will live, right? And that small percentage needs to keep on going to preserve the human race, right? So and everybody has that built into them. Like you have that built into you. Self-preservation, you have that built in. If you don't believe me, go hold your head underwater, right? Your body's going to force yourself to take your head out of the water, no matter how hard you try to make it to where you're going to stay underwater. You just can't do it. It's self-preservation. So you have that built in subconsciously. And then what you want to do is build your conscious mind to think that way as well. You don't ever want to think like, why would I want to go on if the world isn't, I can't get on Google. You know what I mean? You don't want to think that way. And
No, I
most
mean,
people,
think how people act when Facebook goes down, bro. They
yeah,
lose their damn mind.
yeah, you want to preserve the human race. I mean, it's
But I mean, so even that, and that's a huge, preserving the human race. That's a big ordeal. But us as American citizens, we have, or I shouldn't say we have. We're responsible for this country, even as citizens. The government's really not responsible for how this country is. It's the citizens. That's been taken away from us, but 3% of the settlers and stuff, that's who created this country, right? And ironically, there's less than 3% of U.S. citizens that are actually American patriots. Why? Because people have been scared away from being an American patriot. They've been, well, if you're an American patriot, we're just going to deem you a domestic terrorist. Because how dare you not agree with what we think and what we should do as a government? How dare you not agree with us?
Yeah, or if they've been conditioned out of thinking that way. You know, to me, it's a sad thing. I mean, we are Americans because of our freedom. You know, and when I use the word freedom, I don't use it loosely. Like, I mean, we're starting to be conditioned to where we don't look at it that way anymore. You know, it's more along the lines of how do we make everybody happy, no matter what they know. Just how do we make everybody happy, and that takes away from your being a free individual. Like, because when you're trying to make the masses happy, you can't have, like whenever Ryan was on TikTok live, you would see people just jump in there and they'd ask, "What are your pronouns?" Because that's become like this way to.
It's a conflict. It's a way to start conflict.
Yeah, to piss off a Republican, right? Just ask them what their pronouns are, and that's going to piss them off and start a conversation. I just ignore it. Like, to me, it's ignorance, so I just ignore it. But then again, I'm an old enough individual to be able to just ignore that, right? It's not going to spark something in me where I'm going to have this huge conversation with you. Now, if you want to have an intelligent conversation about my beliefs on it, then we can do that.
But you're not going to get that with that crowd.
No, you're not. And
you'll get it. You'll get it with you'll get it with a true Democrat. They'll debate with you. But when they start liberal, like leaning towards the liberal side of stuff on the extremist side, you won't get that debate, unfortunately. Even on this, right? It's a channel about prepping. And every time any one of you guys have come in my channel on TikTok, it's a bunch of liberal individuals that are literally trying to fight with me because they assume I'm Republican and a Trump supporter and all this. I've never come out and told them that. I didn't start a fight with that. They're just like, "Oh, you're a part of preppers." You know what I mean? Like, you're
a big white guy too, so that doesn't help any.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, big white guy with tattoos. I'm a minority in this country now, but whatever. But they want that division and they're fueling it. And then the worst part is, and the most ironic part of this whole thing is they're literally going to comment on that and say, "How dare you try to create all this division in this country? The division is all on the Republicans' fault." Right? It's the Republicans' fault that it's divided. Trump created all this division and da 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 da. And how dare you don't like us, or how dare you don't think and agree with us? Like, what?
Yeah, TikTok is. That's why we don't.
It's toxic.
We don't want to stream this on TikTok because it's too toxic. It's too overrun with the specific, the specific genre of people, I guess you could say. I mean, it's just not. It's not a good place to do it. I mean, if the best place so far that you could do it, well, not the best, but out of what's available is Twitch. That's why we're on here, because Twitch isn't going to censor us in that way. I mean, YouTube will suppress us, right? They're going to suppress us once we start talking
They
about
won't
firearms.
delete our content,
They won't
but
delete the content, but they will.
you
suppress
won't be
us
able to
once we-
search us. You won't
Yep.
find us under a search.
Once we start talking about firearms and stuff like that, they will suppress us, and we'll get suppressed. So that's why we're using our outlet is going to be Twitch, because at the time, right now, at the time, Twitch isn't. They won't suppress they don't suppress anything. I mean, just browse around on Twitch for a little while, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But they don't suppress anything on here. They'll put you out there. And the thing about Twitch is that's the way Twitch gets around that is they don't promote anybody. They don't promote. They may have a recommended channel for you to watch, but they don't really promote. And there's no way for anybody to really search for anything. That's why we've been live for as long as we've been, and it's just you guys in here. No one's popping in. That's just finding us, because there's no way to really find anybody on Twitch. So that's why we're trying to get. We're not out here trying to spam on TikTok to grow our Twitch. We're really not. We're letting people know to go to Twitch just because it's a better platform for us for our content. And we are content creators. If you look at us, that's what we do. We're content creators, right? We're just like everybody else out there. We don't call ourselves influencers, but we are content creators. We have content that we want to bring to people, so we want to use the best platform that we can to for our message, right? Because if we were out here talking about like a specific some kind of other type of category of something to talk about, we could probably do it on TikTok, or we could do it on YouTube, or we could do it on Facebook. But those places, they don't like the type of content we're talking about, which is making wise individuals. I mean, it's a good topic to be on. See, now your stuff is lagging out again on my computer.
My stuff is?
Yeah, mine's buffering. Oh, there it goes. Maybe they are suppressing us. I don't know.
Nah, they're not suppressing us.
No.
I just literally live in rural Texas, and literally like they claim the high-speed internet out here is high speed, and it's literally like 30 upload, bro. No. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you get the blazing speed. And I'm like, bro, that's just above dial-up. That ain't blazing speeds. So yeah, that's kind of the worst part. But everyone, like I see there's like 6 or 8 viewers, I can't tell. Anyone got any questions or anything like that?
We'll open it up to questions now.
Just full on questions. It don't matter if it goes along with today or not or anything.
Yeah.
We're just going to do a 15, 20 minute question Q&A. So we'll answer whatever questions that's specifically to your needs and where you're at in prepping. We'll be glad to.
Yeah, and if you're new here and you haven't said anything, go ahead and speak up. Nobody's gonna laugh at your question, or no one's gonna whatever. You're more than welcome here.
Well, I mean, so if they do, if someone is disrespectful in the chat or anything like that to anyone who's new or any of that, you're gone. I hate to tell you, you're gone.
Yep, you'll be muted, or you'll actually be blocked.
Yeah, you could be our number 2 viewer, right? There's only 2 viewers in the whole thing, and you start being disrespectful and mean. We're just gonna have 1 viewer. I'd rather have just 1 honest viewer than someone who's in here to troll or degrade someone over.
When you ask what's great shelf stable food, are you talking like a canned food? Or are you talking well, obviously you're going to keep it on a shelf. So, I mean, any canned good really, right? You just got to learn how to swap that out. And then, but anything really, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there too, is just like, like your big things like tuna fish and Spam. And if you're looking for drinks, it would be Tang. Tang lasts forever. There's a reason why they took it out to space. but pretty much any canned item is going to be a really good item to keep. Beans and
That's
rice are
easy,
good too.
right?
Yeah,
Now,
really easy.
when
Beans and
you
rice
get beans
too,
and
but
rice, you
there's some
have to
preparation.
protect them. Yeah. So
Yep, there is preparation with it.
you do not keep it in the same bags you buy it in. Same with your flour. You do not do that. You prep it. You go and get like either Mylar bags. So Mylar bags are just good to contain portions, right? So the way that I prep, everything goes in like 5-gallon buckets, preferably the square buckets, because there's literally no wasted space in a square bucket. Round buckets, there's a lot of wasted space in a round bucket. Plus, they're not near stable when you stack them. But in a square bucket, so you go and buy yourself food grade squared buckets, right? Mylar bags, silica packets that literally are just designed to suck all the oxygen, the oxygen out of.
Hold on, I'll grab one.
The container, right? A food saver, and then you're going to portion everything out. You're going to portion your beans, your rice, all that stuff in these bags to where, when you open that bag of rice, let's just say you do 2 pounds at a time, right? So you individually do 2 pounds of rice in one Mylar bag. You put it in you throw your silica packet in there that Kevin's going to show you what it is, literally, and they go by literally CC, right? So on that silica packet, it's going to say somewhere that it's good for 500 centimeters or something like that, right? So there's a bunch of different sizes.
And make you can buy them on Amazon.
Yeah,
you can buy them on Amazon, and they're really cheap. Good. They're cheap, and they're really good for more than just food. Like I put them in my ammo crate. So there's some ammo right there. I throw those in there too. Pulls all the moisture out of the ammo. It works for food. Works for just about everything.
And so the proper way to do it is portion it out, right? Throw those silica packets in there. Put it in the Mylar bags. Suck the oxygen out of it. Seal it. The oxygen that's left is going to be taken care of by that silica packet, right? And now you take those packets, you mark them, and you put those in your BPA-free bags or buckets, sorry. And what that's doing is just helping protect against rodents and stuff of that nature, right? Because plastic bags, Mylar bags, all that stuff's great as long as there's no rodents, there's no bugs. You need to now combat rodents and bugs when you're doing food prep, because they're going to be your number one thief before you ever get to actually use the stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's the best thing with food, or like beans, rice, stuff of that nature. Freeze-dried foods. I'm a huge freeze-dried food prepper. I will do that more than anything. You can freeze dry protein. You can freeze dry fruits, vegetables. You can literally make an entire soup, right? You can make beef taco soup, throw it all together, all freeze dried, make that like 4 cups if you're feeding a family, 1 cup if you're feeding yourself type thing, right? Put that in, or actually a half a cup, sorry. Half a cup of freeze dried is usually 1 portion for an adult. Right? Now
when you ask anything other than food, you mean like, because there's a lot of things that you can stock up on that'll last a fairly long time. I mean, can you be more specific on what you're looking to stock up on? Vacuum seal is a really good way to go in Mylar bags. I do regular vacuum sealing, but then I also put them into a container. So and then you ask a week or a day's worth. Mine is a little different. I have it in a couple different ways. Like I prep like the way I do it is I do like immediate stuff. So I have containers that are full of day portions. And that's just in case if I need to go somewhere, if I have to leave, if I have to leave from my wherever I'm sheltered in place, I guess you could say, if I have to leave from there, I want to be able to just open something up and pack and get a portion and throw it in my bag. I don't want to have to, because you got to remember, another part of prepping is you got to make sure that you're prepped for different types of situations, right? You got to have your main stock, which is going to be you go to your main stock to replenish anything that you use, and then everything else I do by the portion. Whether it's most of mine stuff is a day. Well, it's broken down by meal, but it's not that. I mean, it's broken down by meal, but it's not like super. Well, here's rice, here's beans.
Yeah.
It's all broken down by meal per day, and there's certain portions of that. I mean, that's a good thing to do, is to remember that you're prepping for the long term. So you have your main storage, and then you have your storage that's also broken down by day, which will be what you use on a daily basis. Yep. And then you replenish all that other stuff, because another thing that could happen is you have to leave your main storage and leave that area and go to another place that's easier to defend. If it gets to that point where you got to defend something, you don't want to be defending your main storage. I mean, it sounds silly, but you want to leave that storage in a secure, safe place, go defend somewhere else.
Yeah, you would rather draw people out of that area than draw people to it.
Yep. You don't want people to be on your storage, and you don't want to be defending your storage. You want to go to your storage when everything is good to go. So that's why people have bug out bags, right? Because I'm going to bug out from my main spot, lock everything down, bug out from that, go there and where it's easier to defend, and with my group of people, right? Because good thing to have is a group of people. We'll talk about that in another episode, but you're going to defend against the bad stuff. Then once the bad stuff's done, then you go back to your main storage, and that's when you start to survive.
Yeah, and the way that I prep, I'll throw in and add to it, is I prep 72 hours in my go bag, in my bug out bag. And that's all individual portions. Everything I prep for my go bag is all individually portioned, right? For one, I eat one portion. I could be running around in the rain. I could get stuck somehow going across a river, or so, that's pretty extreme or whatever, even though you might just have to get away from something. And a river or getting across the lake is the only thing that's going to put the proper distance and security in between you two to get a head start. When that's all done individually, you don't have to worry about when you open it up and ate breakfast. If you had your oatmeal this morning for breakfast, you don't have to worry about that getting ruined, right? Yep, 3 days for X people. So if you're bringing 3 people, so one thing you need to get everyone to do is carry their own weight when it comes to food. Everyone carries their own weight for food. Yeah. Even his little daughter needs to carry her 72 hours worth of food on her little backpack or a fanny pack, right? And that's the best part of freeze-dried stuff. It's literally, it is so compact and confined, right? Now when you go to cook that, right? The big difference between MREs and freeze-dried foods, they're going to go 1 and 2 for hand in hand for ultimate prepping stuff. MREs are great. They have the heating elements in them. They have a good variety of foods. They have, they're all individually packaged, MREs are very decent. They taste decent. They've gotten a lot better from when I've had to use them, probably with Kevin too, but we definitely filtered through the boxes, to find the ones that we wanted. But with, those are convenient because they have napkins, they have all your flatware and stuff that's already all in there. With freeze-dried stuff, it's not. You have to worry about carrying something to cook with. You have to worry about carrying something to eat with or handle your food with. You have to worry about, one of my favorite things was literally with an MRE, take everything out of it, crunch most of it together, and as long as there was cheese sauce to put in that sucker, mix that bag full and eat it with the fork. And you're like, I don't know what this is. I know I'm not going to shit for 4 days, but it's good enough to get me going, right? And it's so that's the benefit over using an MRE over freeze dried, but that's the only benefit.
Yeah, dude, we'll go over that type of preparation in another video, because that's a subject that we can actually go over.
So you can literally, I'll answer it real quickly, but do your research outside of this. You can literally freeze dry almost everything. All right, unless if
Yeah,
it's
you
a
can
high
freeze dry
oil
it.
content or anything like that, that you're not going to be able to get down to that 2% moisture and below. That's when you're above that 2% moisture level. That's when your your shelf stability goes away in a hurry. That's what changes from 25 and 30 years to 2 to 5 years, right? And that's high oil content stuff. But other than that, I'll even teach you literally how to freeze dry steak, how to freeze dry chicken, to where you can literally make taco chicken soup, and it's all freeze dried. And you build this recipe, and it gets fun, and it's stuff you can do as a family, to involve them as well, so that you're teaching them throughout the process for them how to do it, instead of you're doing all this stuff and now they're going to be stuck relying on you. Well, if something happens to you, they're in trouble. They don't know how to reproduce what you're doing. So it's easy to get the family involved in, and it's fun, and you can come up with your own recipes, portion it out, freeze dry it, and then be like, hey, guess what, guys? We're going to have some of our freeze dried food. We're just going to test it or whatever next Wednesday or whatever, Wednesday night, or Friday. We do freeze dried Friday, and boom, use it. Get used to cooking it, figuring out how you want to modify it, and really build meals that you're going to enjoy as well. Because I will tell you one thing, when I first started out prepping, I hated it because everything tastes like shit. It's like, dude, this is gross.
You gotta remember, like, a lot of preppers they'll tell you everything you need to know about, like, they'll tell you everything you need to know about how canned goods. They'll tell you everything about freeze dry, vacuum seal. The one thing they don't tell you, and the one thing that why MREs put this in there, is you want to have sweets, right? Because there's
you need sugar.
A ton of sweets that you can stock up on. Not only does it give you the sugar and the insulin spike that you'll need, but it also boosts morale. Because just think about, like, how you're gonna feel if for one thing, this happened to us, right? And a good way to boost morale is sweets. There's a reason why they put them in charms and M&Ms and MREs. For anybody who's been in the military, it's to boost morale. Like, it's to make you feel better, get that dopamine kick and stuff like that. So you want to stock those things, like Twinkies. You can stock Twinkies for days, and I don't care what anybody tells you. If a prepper tells you, oh, don't waste your money on that, or don't do, damn straight do it, because I'm gonna tell you right now that if this ever happened, the last thing you want to be doing is eating beans and rice every day,
right?
Like, and not just for the flavor for your palate, just for, you're going to want sweets because you're used to it. Your body is used to it. Your body is used to having sweets. We all eat it, unless you're, a gym rat and you're 2% body fat. You don't, but we do. And you don't want to take that away from your diet.
Yeah,
you don't want to take that away. Yep. You don't want to take that away from your diet. Put it in there. Put sweets in there. Salt. That's a big thing. People don't even think of that. You want to have tons of salt on your shelf.
Yep.
Because salt is not only do your body need salt to, for the minerals and everything, but it's a good bartering thing. There's a reason why wars were fought over salt. Put salt on your shelves. Put sugar on your shelves. Salt really doesn't need to be prepped as much as sugar does, but sugar definitely does, because
so a salt,
rodents and everything are gonna want that shit. But
salt naturally attracts moisture. So it's hard
to. You want to keep that away. You don't want to store that with.
You want that package to where you can package it in monthly rations if you want. You can get away with that at your home base. Do monthly rations of salt, but don't go anything really past that. Do a month or less when it comes to rations on salt. For that reason, like I moved from a very dry state. Like, here's the thing, Kevin doesn't have to worry about that near as much as I do. I'm a seasoned junkie, barbecue junkie, the whole 9 yards, big into food. And I've never once had any type of seasoning cake up on me or anything like that in Colorado. Nothing. No. Right? I'm like, why do these people throw all these anti-caking agents and all this crap in all this stuff? And well, then I'll move to Texas where it's 96% humidity, right? Ha! when you're throwing your spices up against the damn wall just so you can put them on your eggs or whatever, because everything's just rock solid caked together, right? So that's that's one of those things you need to identify if humidity and moisture is going to be a problem. Now, if you're Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, all these middle states and up north, even humidity gets all the way up into Oklahoma, you know what I mean? But when you're battling that type of humidity, you're prepping your foods completely different than you would if you're in Colorado, if you're in Montana, or even Canada, right? Like, there's so many different variables that go into prepping that nobody teaches you about, right? And I'm sure we're going to miss some because there's just that many. I mean, there's just that many, right? That's why I'm going to really rely on you guys in the chat to be like, well, hey, I'm in Montana. Oh, yeah, hey, Montana has this problem. Or, oh, hey, Florida or Louisiana has this problem. Because Louisiana, like Louisiana, stuff like that, right? Swamp areas, finding a good water source is going to be one of your number one priorities in prepping. You need to find running water. You don't want stagnant water.
No.
You want to avoid that at all cost.
You're also going to have to worry about salt content too in water, because if you live in a coastal environment, you got to worry about that. I mean, you can't just go take a life straw and start sucking water out of, stagnant water, because it's going to have a salt content, which life straw does not. No matter what anybody tells you, it does not take out of your water, and you don't want to be downing a bunch of salt, because that's going to, a lot of salt in your body, in your system, takes away from your water content. So that's something you need to know.
Well, it'll help you retain water. Well, it'll make you retain too much water is actually what I meant to say.
Yep. And
too much salt will make you retain water like the Hoover Dam. Yeah. And if
there's lots of different things that come into play depending on where you live, but just like I'm just trying to answer Hoosier's question about what else do you want to stock up on that's not food. And
so like literally, Hoosier, I'm going to tell you this right now. You don't want to go down that road on easy. I feel like you're asking that question. What's the and I feel like you're doing it because what's going to be the easiest way to do this besides canned foods and this and this? There's no easy way to prep correctly. Everything's time consuming unless if you're just built with money, and then it's easy. Then you just go and buy these boxes that's like behind me, just for example purposes only, right? That stuff costs so much money. That's the only fast way to properly prep, right? Other than that, it is canned foods, and it's ways to purify water. It's not stocking a bunch of water, but you need a way to purify water. One life straw will literally purify 10,000 gallons of water. You can't store 10,000 gallons of water at your house. You can't do it. You'd be walking on it like carpet.
Either. Yep, but you can't drink it either. If you drank from a life straw every day, it would take you 30 years to get through what it can filter. So just keep that in mind. I mean, a lot of people, you look at some preppers and they've got, boxes full of life straws. What for? It's a waste. You're wasting. You don't need to do that. I mean, that's why when I say that, they're Gucci preppers. They're not sensible preppers. They're Gucci preppers. They want to be showing off all their stuff. Look at what I have. I mean, it looks cool. It is very functional, but you're just overindulging in it. But yeah, so that, stuff that you want to stock on your shelf other than food, I think we covered most of it. I mean, not most of it, a lot of it. There's a lot more out there, but the main things are going to be, because you want to dual purpose everything you have, right? So if you have, you have a ton of ammo, right? That's going to be bartering stuff. You have a ton of salt. That's going to be bartering stuff. You have whatever you want to have a little bit of a surplus of a few things that you can barter with to get stuff that you don't have, or maybe something that you forgot that you realize, shit, I need this now. So that's a way to do that. So you want to just just look at everything as if you want to stock up as much stuff that you can dual purpose, because dual purpose is going to be the best way to do it. Because if you have a surplus of one thing that you're not going to get through in the next 2 years, the next 10 years, because you got to remember, when you're prepping, you're just prepping for no more than 2 years, because after that you should be eating fresh. You should be able to go
preservation and
You can go fishing. There's a lot of different things you could do because that's what you really want to be consuming anyway. You want to be consuming,
Yeah, you just need to be able to ride out the storm.
Yep.
And then continue on with what the new lifestyle is going to be if shit ever does hit the fan, right? You're going to have to adapt to that lifestyle. And I know Hoosier personally, right? And I'm going to recommend personally, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do with your personal diet with that question, right? You're not going to be able to abide by the diet that you need to be involved in for your reasons, without doing it the freeze-dried way and without doing it because other ways they're that stuff that you're talking about that you can buy just off the shelf done. There's preservatives and salt galore in those products, and that is not going to work for you. Just on a personal note.
So Scott, I know you sent me a private message, but I'm gonna make it public because I want people to feel comfortable to be able to ask anything they want. And we may have misunderstood your question or just passed over it, but
I didn't even see it until just now.
Yeah, the purpose of what we're talking about isn't for end of the world. I mean, that's the last thing that we're prepping for. What we're prepping for is a bad situation, right? And that's the best way to put it. Because we're prepping for you being able to survive with your family if you couldn't go to the grocery store and buy a hamburger, or go to the grocery store and buy meat, or go to the grocery store and buy milk, right? That's what we're prepping for. It's so that we were prepped to have those things to sustain until the stores reopen or the stores restock their shelves, or
civilization is reestablished.
Yeah, right? Civilization needs to reestablish. Like, and another way to put it is loss of infrastructure. If there was ever a loss of infrastructure in the United States or any country, you want to be prepared for that. And a lot of people in today's day and age, especially what's been going on the last 2 years, are really looking into prepping, and we're here to give information. This isn't about the end of the world. We're not doomsday preppers, like shows will make it sound like doomsday preppers, zombie invasions. We're not all about that.
We're not projecting that image, right? We may have our reasons for personally prepping, right? But that's not what this podcast is all about. This is literally, I'm going to ask you right now, Kevin, were you worried when they came on the TV and said, hey, you better go and get this because everything's running out at the stores? Did you have to run out and get it? I didn't either. I didn't have to worry. And 99% of every prepper didn't run to the grocery store freaking out and dealing with the people who are being very irrational and literally putting people at gunpoint for toilet paper and for soda and for all these dumb necessities, right, that we're so entitled to in America. People were literally getting robbed literally just robbed. I've witnessed it myself. There was also countless news stories of where it's going around. Oh, these people are going around and looting people at the grocery stores. They're sitting out in these parking lots waiting for these people that they feel that they can overtake really easily. And they will pull up and hop out, point a gun at them and say, hey, we're taking all your stuff in your cart, right? That's the reason, we're here to try to help people prep and prep correctly, is that type of stuff. This isn't hey, everyone, I'm building a big, huge doomsday bunker and I want to create a cult and I want to get everyone, you know what I mean? That's not what this is about at all, right? Yep, nope, never went until shelves were restocked. That's what I'm trying to say. There's most of us weren't involved. Most of us seasoned preppers, right, weren't involved in that type of stuff. We were completely secure in our situation. I was so secure. I was fortunate enough to be able to help others. I built meals. I did pre-frozen meals and stuff, and I drove around and used my own gas and my own stuff for people who didn't have food. They couldn't get food. People who got the COVID, all that stuff. I literally built them meals to where all they had to do, I literally would ring their doorbell, drop off a week's worth of food and toilet paper, maybe even a bottle of bourbon or whatever if I knew them like that and I knew they could use taking the edge off or anything of that nature. I would drop that stuff off and turn around and leave. And they were some of the most grateful people, and they would call me in tears. You didn't have to do that, this and that. Well, but I prepped for it, right? Like I was fortunate enough to have that to help people through that. So I am all about helping my community, but I also did that without even dipping into my own personal stuff. You know, at that point in time, I had a restaurant, right? So I was literally just, instead of trying to capitalize off of the $8,000 in product that I had sitting at the restaurant, instead of capitalizing and selling it to the people that would come in and still support or anything or want to do delivery, I chose to literally build all these meals and go and help the people that were in need, because our society collapsed within 2 days. People started getting weird, right? There was, Kevin had a neighbor that was getting death threats and stuff just because he was Asian, because of the coronavirus or Chinese or whatever, right? Like, just, you know, people started, they were literally ready to fight and kill people because of no one knowing how to be civil in the situation.
Yeah. Send the fire. I just saw your message. How do I find land to bug out on in Texas?
Why am I not getting all this stuff? Send a fire. Literally, I should be able to answer that one. She literally, or they live like, I think like half hour from me or whatever.
All right. There you go.
So here's the problem in Texas, right? Since you already live here, you already know there is not much public land at all, right? There it's mostly private property. But what I would do is find the nature reserves and stuff of that nature. Find those locations, go for the hikes, and start searching that way. Or if you have any personal friends with land or anything like that, right? You got to have that unfortunate conversation with them of like, hey, man, would I be able to come out here and camp and stuff or anything like that or whatever, retreat if I had to, if stuff got bad with all this civil unrest? And just ask them. Because if not, Texans are crazy enough, they're going to shoot you if they just find you on their land. You know what I mean? Like, the last thing I want to do is find people that are on my land. I don't want to find them unannounced or using up my resources or anything like that, right? But in Texas, it's going to be a challenge because of the lack of public property. But I would definitely be trying to find every bit of public property you can. And I do know there's a couple nature preserves between our areas that wouldn't be a bad idea for you to go and check out. I don't have any specific names or anything like that for these nature preserves. But I know you can Google search it and you'll be able to come across them. The best part about Texas is a lot of people own land, right? So they have their own bug out locations. But the worst part about Texas is there's not many bug out locations for people who don't own land. Unless if you get permission, right? Now society collapses, that permission ain't going to mean nothing anyways. Shelves were restocked. Where did you see that question?
Which one?
From Send the Fire. Why am I just not seeing these questions, Bo?
I don't know. I think it was up above. Like he had already asked it a while ago. Whoever it is, they asked it a while ago. I just have my chat. You know, I have a whole screen for just my chat.
Oh, so. My chat's a lot smaller. I'm gonna tell you right now, I was dumb enough to buy a auto darkening welding helmet when they first came out from Snap-on, so my eyes aren't near as good as they used to be. But hopefully, and you heard that. I didn't mean to skip over you. Kevin didn't mean to skip over you guys.
No, I didn't. I just noticed it after.
That's completely our bad. And don't feel free to ask, like, so if I don't, or one of us don't answer or pick up your question within a few minutes of asking it, post it again. Don't be scared to ask it 2, 3 times or whatever. Now don't spam it 7 times in a row, but
Yeah.
don't be scared to ask it because if we mixed it, I mean, know what I mean. Don't be that polite. I'll tell you because if I forget, I forget, and
Yeah.
then I'll feel bad when I come back and look at it and be like, oh hey, this person wasn't here. I thought they were going to come, and I never saw any comments from them, but it's already over. So,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry
Yeah. You
for
see,
that.
see, and see, and your that what you just said. Nope, never went until the shelves were restocked. So you don't want to be in that situation. That's another reason why we're having this discussion is so that way we can get you to where you don't have to worry about that. Like I didn't need to go buy TP again for at least 8 months
Right.
after all this stuff happened when it was on the shelves readily. I didn't have to go buy one thing of it. I had enough to last me at least 8 months at a minimum, right? I like to have, but to be honest, it was one of the things that I did get caught off guard with, where I didn't have a year's worth of it. It was one of the things because I mean, just you can't prep for everything, right? You can't
Something's
know,
going to
you can't
slip by
be
you,
all knowing.
right?
Yeah, some stuff is going to slip by you. TP did. I mean, I had enough to last me 8 months, which because whenever a good practice is if you do have a Costco or Sam's Club membership is to buy the stuff that you use every day when it goes on a good sale. Like I have enough toothpaste to last me at least a year. Like I got stockpiles of toothpaste because lots of times at Costco or Sam's Club when that type of stuff goes on sale, it's usually like $4 off. So you're buying it at a really good price. So I'll buy 2 or 3 of them, and then I'll stack that up. So I have like toothpaste, toothbrushes, aspirin, any kind of those type of painkillers and stuff like that, the band-aids, stuff like that. I buy it when it goes on sale. It doesn't go on sale regularly, but when it does, I always pick up extra and I add that to my stockpile. So then I'm starting to pile that stuff up, and then when I get to a 2 year supply of it, I stop buying it and then I start using it, and then we'll go over that too, where you cycle stuff in and out. You cycle out the old in with the new, and you just you keep making sure that you're within a 2 year what you call it with it. And then what you also do is you try to get stuff that you wouldn't normally think would be gone, right? And TP was the one for me. I didn't have a year's supply of it. And so that's you try to pinpoint those type of things, but it's hard to do. But because you're not going to have, because I'll tell you right now, there weren't preppers, doomsday preppers, or Gucci preppers that have their YouTube channels telling you to go buy toilet paper. It just wasn't one of the things on the list.
No, literally, the
But
media created that.
yeah,
That
the media created it, and it's something hard. It's hard to plan for. But if you go in the mindset that you're gonna stockpile stuff that you use every day, right? If you couldn't go and buy it tomorrow, do you have enough of it? And if you use that mindset, you'll hit most of the stuff that you're gonna need. You'll hit it. You'll get it. There'll be the stuff that slips through the cracks, but lots of times that'll be stuff that you can get by without, right?
Yeah, or
But yeah, that
you can find easy substitutions, right? So
yeah, you'll find substitutions for it.
like what is it called, bidets or whatever like that, or whatever, right? So literally you can literally I was helping people out, telling them, going, hey, oh yeah, we don't have toilet paper, this, can you help with that or that? And I'd be like, hey, look, literally go to your kitchen sink, and if you have the little water squirter, right, that hooks to your sink and everything, right, your faucet, literally you can undo that and hook it to your toilet, right? There's an adapter that's not going to be sold out. You can go and buy it at the Home Depot or order it online or do whatever, right? And that adapter will go in between the supply hose for your thing. And guess what? Now you have pressurized ass wiper, and it works great, right? A little too powerful. You might need to, you might want to clinch a little bit, but then I think someone actually started marketing something like that, right? Like, here's these kits. You don't need toilet paper. Just use this Ass Scrubber 3000, right? Like, and that became kind of yeah. So the medical stash and stuff like that, Space Marine, That's all going to come on a whole different episode. That's
Yeah.
a whole different
Yeah,
ball
there's a
game.
whole episode on its own.
Yep, like that will be. And then I'm also going to work a deal with people, very reliable people. Mike Glover with Fieldcraft Survival. He's going to give a good discount for the viewers on here to be able to learn how to properly use the proper equipment and learn how to identify when you need to use said equipment, right? There's a lot of wasted money on medical stuff.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into the medical stash thing because you don't want to. One tip is you don't want to put stuff in your bag you don't know how to use, and I'm talking. You want to make sure, like, everybody knows how to use a Band-Aid, stock them up. Everybody knows how to use gauze, stock it up. But does everybody know how to use a chest seal? Does everybody know how to use a throat clear, stuff like that? You want to go and learn about it, even if it's going to learn on your own and watching videos, familiarize yourself with how to use it. Because remember, if you do ever have to use it, you're probably in a situation where you can't call 911. So it's up to you. That's just one thing. But that's why Ryan's saying he's going to have Mike Glover. A lot of you guys may not know who he is, but he's a Navy SEAL and he does a lot of this stuff on YouTube. But I think he's a Navy SEAL. He's a Navy SEAL. Or
he was a Navy SEAL. Well,
yeah, I think he's.
I mean, that is.
He's like, I think he's like Navy.
But he
SEAL
started out. Yeah, he started out in the Army, and then after 9/11, then he ended up being a SEAL.
Yeah,
he went CIA after that.
Yeah. But anyway, he has a lot of really good information on how to use a lot of different things that are other than what you would normally see videos about people teaching you how to use. He's very knowledgeable. He's one of my favorites out there.
Tourniquets. It's going to be one of those things. If you have to use it, I mean, chances are, if in a shit hits the fan scenario, if you have to use it, all you're really doing is buying time to get back to your group, to stay alive, to relay information or something like that. Unless if you have someone who is comfortable enough to be your surgeon and save you and fix your artery, or you know what I mean, you're doomed at that point.
Yeah,
you really
if you
are.
If you have to ever use a tourniquet in that situation, you're losing that limb. If you survive that long, if you ever have to use a chest seal, you're gonna die within a day. Yeah, those type of things, you're not.
Well, I wouldn't say that with a chest seal because a lot of bullets are going to go through.
Yeah, and chest seal, you can also be like you can fall down a cliff and puncture yourself with a stick or something. And you can. I'm just saying, if you ever get shot enough or somewhere where you're gonna have to use it, you're gonna have to seal your chest because your lungs are collapsing. That at that point, you're probably not going to pull through because you're not going to be able to get the medical attention that you truly need in that situation.
That gets into the severity of prepping, where, you know how I say, like, be a secret prepper, don't advertise it to the world or anything like that, right? But if you do have a group of people, which it's good, but you have to have a truly trusted group of people.
Yeah.
And everyone gets assigned a certain job, right? So if you have a nurse friend or something like that, and they're a nurse, I promise you, there's a lot of nurses out there that are preppers, and they're looking to become a part of organizations and stuff like that now, especially now that the system has just left them high and dry with this whole vaccination stuff and everything.
It's all good, Doomed. It's all good. Well, like we said, we're going over today. Yep. Today's a mashup. Today's just a mashup. I think our next podcast is going to be medical kit because I don't want to start into the cool gadgets yet. I want to start with the sensible stuff, and medical is sensible because I use my bag all the time, even though I'm not. I use my bag for when I go camping. If I get a scrape or a cut, I use that all the time. I have a shit ton of Band-Aids in there, and I'll pull one out if I'm out camping. I have separate bags, but I do use that bag. It's not just specifically for my prepper bags. If I don't think you could see them, but right above my head back there are my two main bags, and I use those bags all the time. That the black bag goes in my truck every time I leave the house.
Yeah, that's how mine is. Like the small green one, that one. I don't know how to. That one right there, right? That one is called an iPack, and that's literally for a bug out bag. Then that bigger green one right there, that's literally a home-based medical kit.
Yep.
That I can literally, if I had to, I could throw you on an operating table and try to save you. Not guaranteeing it, but I can try to save you, right? So, and there's two very huge differences in those kits.
Yep.
Very, very big differences. That one is what I'm going to refer to, that iPack. That's called the Get Home Bag.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That is just to get you to where you need to be properly worked on or saved. That's it. Most people you'll see, including that Prepper Zone guy, he will pack the dumbest stuff in there and misguide you. Literally, you're carrying dead weight, right? Like you're not carrying anything that's going to truly, honestly help you. Now, and I hate to pick on that guy or whatever, but he's one of the main reasons why we started this. Right? Like we went in there, somehow I got stuck on his TikTok, and I'm sitting here and I had to message it to Kevin and be like, dude, what the hell is going on in here, right? This guy's wearing a gas mask, wearing all of his gear, full frontal equipment, the whole 9 yards. Like, and we're sitting here going, holy cow, and you're telling people that you're an expert, right? You're telling people, and he has a mad following of people willing to listen to him.
Yeah, 60,000 followers on his TikTok. Yeah. That's insane.
And he's literally prepping 60,000 people to supply 60 other thousand people with the stuff that they buy.
Yeah. Right? So like I said, you're going to, what you do is let me move my head, you'll see it will focus back there. But now you can see it. Those bags, you'll start to build bags. Not focusing on my face. You'll start to build different bags for different situations. Like you'll have I have what I call a truck bag, which is usually always in my truck. And then I have my home base bags, which are on the medical side. I have a home base medical bag, which is the one that's hanging on the wall. And then I have the small bags, and that one's on my battle belt. I don't have it all the time out like Ryan does. Mine's on my battle belt because I have mine prepped where in my closet right behind me, which you can see. There's my battle belt, and then if you look up by my All American sign or flag up there, there's my chest plate, and it's all situated in here. So if I ever had to grab it, just grab it and put it on.
Yeah, I mean the reason why mine's out is because we were on TikTok trying to address people were asking medical and stuff, and I was trying to show them, and that's the only reason why it's off that or whatever, and I haven't put it back.
Yeah, so that's. You just, because remember prepping, you're not going to have time to just go and put things together. It all has to be ready to go because you want it. Because for me, most likely, if anything ever, if the shit hit the fan, you've only got maybe a couple hours to go get stuff and get situated before, whether you determine you're going to shelter in place or you got to get out of town. You can't be running around and putting stuff in a bag and packing things. You got to have it all ready to go. So all my stuff is ready to go. And there's, if you look at my closet, everything I need is right there. And that's how everybody that's going to be prepping. That's how you need to do it. And everything is sitting right there. I take that out. I bring that in my truck, bring that into my truck. My battle belt's hanging right there. Main bag, secondary bag. And then over here is my safe. Open up the safe. Good to go. All my main ammo is sitting right here. Everything is accessible, quick to move, quick to get out of the house. I don't want to be running into the basement to get this, running over here to get that. I just, I get everything I need, and I move out. And
so anyone looking for anything type of quality go bag, bug out bag, medical bag, anything of that nature, the one thing that I am going to drop on you guys is literally go to fieldcraftsurvival.com and check out what he's got there.
Closer to your mic, Ryan, it's hard to hear you.
What? Is this better?
Yep. Whoa. You got to get closer.
Damn, I almost just busted myself right in the face with that microphone. But so literally go to fieldcraftsurvival.com, right? And he's got a bunch of different bags, go bags, truck bags, the whole 9 yards. And he actually has a very efficient and effective commercial grade Velcro setup to where you can take stuff, and if you need it in a hurry, in a in, let's just say, a car accident in your truck bag, right? It'll literally hook to where you can just grab it. It even builds them for the visors to where you just grab it right off your visor. Now you have everything you need to stop someone from any type of hemorrhaging or severe bleeding and stabilize. Literally just on your visor, and it takes 2 seconds to pull it off, and you can react and respond. Now, without proper training, you're not going to understand the importance of seconds in those types of situations. But when you do get that proper training, you realize that seconds do count, right? So let's just say somehow someone gets shot outside the front of my house. Here I am right now, my medical bags. I mean, I could grab my home bag, right? Be fine. But if I ran to my normal place to grab my iPack, I'd be like, where the hell is it? Right? Because muscle memory. You need to build muscle memory on where everything is when you need to move in a hurry. Well, right now, it's in a spot where it's not muscle memory, even though it's right behind my head and something happens. I'm literally going to run straight past it because my muscle memory tells me that's where it's supposed to be. Right? Like it's just going to be stuck there. Yeah,
right, guys, so
fieldcraftsurvival.com.
Yep, we should probably wrap this up. Because we're starting to tangent away from things, and we should just wrap it up.
We're almost 2 hours anyways, so
yeah. So we'll wrap it up quick. We'll just let you guys know that we'll be doing this again probably on Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll do. We're gonna normally switch things over and do some Monday, Tuesday stuff instead of later on in the week. We'll start off fresh in the beginning of the week, and not try to mess up people's days. But yeah, fieldcraftsurvival.com. Check it out.
Yep, that's it.
And literally, I just don't want you guys to go and buy a bag, or if you have a bag already and you pack it full of all your stuff and you unzip it one time and the zipper stops working, like a lot of these cheap bags do. And now you're stuck with shit scattered all over the place and no real means. Bug out bags and that medical bags are something you don't want to chintz money on for those reasons, right? Like you don't want to do it. And that's the one guy that I will personally recommend that I know that sells quality, and we ain't getting no kickbacks off of it or anything like that. But keep an eye on it. Like keep an eye on that type of stuff. He'll do a Black Friday sale. That'll help out a little bit, because when I say his stuff's expensive, it is a little more on the expensive side. But thanks, thanks everyone for coming in. I don't know why I can't see the viewers and stuff of that nature. I'll have to fix that so I know who's in or whatever. But thanks. Make sure anyone who's in here comment below so that I have a way to record, since I can't see who's in this right now. Make sure that you have commented on this, because I'm going to use this chat as a way to say, okay, this person was here. They're getting their name in the bucket for the prize. Right? So, yeah, for the giveaways that we're due. So make sure you guys comment in here, or comment before we get off here, to ensure.
You can actually comment after we leave too, and we'll still see that. So just make sure you get your name in there. Make sure you guys put something out there. Let us know you're here. Right.
I know fairly. Let's see. I know Anna, Send the Fire, obviously, Space Marine, Who's Your Daddy. I don't know if what's his name bounce, that Scott M guy. Did he even hear the response?
He's still here.
Is he still here?
Well, he's not. He just left. He just left. I was just talking to him, but he just left. But anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna end it. Yes, Monday we'll be on, and you'll get notifications if you follow us. So make sure to follow the Twitch channel. That way you get notifications on your phone.
All right, guys, and make sure you stay safe. Have fun out there.
Yeah. Till next time.
Do your homework.